Welcome to Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner. Steve Horner, a former radio talk show host, helps spotlight the source of today's social chaos while offering practical solutions to the problems negatively affecting you and your family. And now, here's Steve.
Hello, Americans. This is not Paul Harvey. This is your old friend Steve-O, Steve-O-Reno. This Steve man, Steve Meister. Dun 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 dun. It's Flag Day. Flag Day, Americans. That's right. Now, Sean, you had some comments about Flag Day when we talked about this scheduling today, and I said, well, today is Flag Day, and you had a comment or two about Flag Day, something like the origin of it or something. Can you remember what that was like?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I don't recall those events.
You don't recall those events?
I am detached.
Yes. Well, we're going to be talking about the Sappy American in just a moment, pal. But Joe Biden and his wife Jill had a Flag Day out at the White House. Did you read about that? He had the alphabet people out there.
That didn't go well.
And he said, "Get the hell out of here." So you take the L out of flag and you get, well, they left. And that's what Joe gets for having those perverts raise hell. Well, four of them, females, took their tops off, showing their little titties out in the round. What disrespect. These are seriously immoral, perverted people. There's no DNA changes, differences. There's nothing but a kinky disrespect for American morals and mores. And I think a lot of people are getting a little tired of it. You know why? Because they're starting to get a little hip to it. But then maybe not. We're talking about the Sappy American today, ladies and gentlemen. See if you recognize this character. Oh, dude. Recognize that bum? Yeah, probably got one in your family, right? I don't know. No offense, but you probably do. How about this character? Ah, Mr. and Miss Angry. Yes. That's going on in a lot of cities, a lot of shoot 'em ups, a lot of anger, can't express their anger, raised by idiots and supported by the United States government handout programs. This might be the most dangerous Sappy American. Well, Steve, I understand what you're saying, but I've got a wife and children to support. I'm just not going to get involved. No, I know. I'm not going to. No, Steve, love you, but I'm not going to write the letter. And I'm certainly not going to testify. No, I just don't want my name involved. I'm out. Right? Mr. Apathetic, Sympathetic, Diabolical Denizen of Know Nothing, Do Nothing, USA. Big problems in America with that cowardness. And these are the Sappy Americans. Going to talk about that a little bit more in just a few moments, but I want to do a little cleanup time. Particularly last time we were here at the Cottage. And by the way, I'm so happy to have you here. And if you're just listening to me on audio, the video is available at Facebook and YouTube.
And Rumble.
And Rumble. How about Spotify? That's
audio only.
Is that right? Okay, well, we're on Spotify. Lots of other platforms, and I understand that we're on quite a few. So when you see like only 2 or 15 hits on YouTube, I understand there's quite a few more listeners. So you've got company, and we've got plenty of space here at the Cottage, and always a cold brewski for my visitors. Well, anyhow, so it's cleanup time, and I said that the women were on the stern of the Titanic as they keep banging into the iceberg, because it's the women in public policy and the cowardly pussy boys who accommodate them that are creating a great deal of chaos in this country. So I heard from a listener saying, no, they were on the bow of the ship. No, what I meant is that they were on the stern of the ship, you see, because aren't women don't they have a great propensity to raise hell and then stand back and look at the results? So they're on the stern. They raise hell and then they stand back and they get on the stern while the folks in the bow of the ship take the brunt of the beating. I spoke of the clutter and the chaos and the noise.
Hey, I cleaned up the clutter around here. What are you talking about? This place is clean now.
No, you look.
You're talking more, not specifically.
It looks
sorry.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Sean, your place was absolutely overrun by cords and wires and digital crapola for weeks and weeks, and now you've got it all.
Progress comes from chaos.
Progress comes from chaos in your book, not mine. Okay, here we go. So we spoke of the clutter that women cause, and the example of that would be this. Now, men can, have a Thanksgiving dinner with a barbecue and a turkey and some brewskis, right? As they talk sports. The women want to dress it up, the bouquets and the flowers and the china and the dress wearing, the candles and all that kind of jazz. And you've seen stories about this and you've seen parodies of it and so on and so forth. And so this woman at Albertsons, I was doing a little shopping, and she was over in the customer service department. And I just had a couple of items. And she says, well, is it still hot out there? And I said, it's 80 degrees. It's like, May in St. George. It's going to be 110, soon. It's a beautiful day. But I said, that's the problem with women. And she's a big, big-faced, big, hefty woman who can take a joke, you see. And so she started laughing. And I said, I'm from Minneapolis, and I don't always am so proud to say that after the George Floyd fiasco, because, boy, did they cave on that felonious Pink Floyd fool. But another day, another story, and I think we have spoken of that before. So I said in 1958, Southdale was built in a suburb called Edina, and it was the first all-enclosed mall. Oh, she goes, I didn't know that. Yes. Well, when you get 20 below winters, that was a real treat. So that took a lot of shoppers away from downtown and put them in, and then other malls cropped up, and then now here we are in 2023, and a lot of those malls, they're done. Graveyards. Why? Because now the women want to shop outdoors. And remember, I'm telling this lady at Albertson. She goes, yeah. And I said, it won't be long before they recognize that there's, turmoil to pay for shopping outdoors with cold, heat, rain, snow, sleet. So then they'll want their malls again. And isn't that the same as when the wife says, I want new furniture. I want a new TV. I want to move. I want to, that all causes a lot of chaos and a lot of noise. And I don't think we can deny that. You might say, well, Steve hates women. No, it's just pointing out the foibles, I mean, who were the guys that built Southdale? Did you ever see any men on site? I mean, any women? No, of course it was the men who. So the men accommodate the women on these issues, and then sometimes they come up with the old line of, well, I do that because when mommy's happy, then the whole family's happy, and I say bullshit to that. Because fickle moods don't affect me, and I ain't gonna allow them to affect me or my kids. And so, mom wants to be tough today and wants to be angry and pissed off and depressed. Well, then that's her problem. Then she needs to go find a dark room in the shadows of the closet, because that's not going to affect me. But a lot of people do buy into that nonsense, and I think that's just being pussy whipped. So I was also talking about the Marines being beat up on Oceanside Beach. That is really pathetic. That's the result of a single parent system. These punks out there these days, they were raised without any authority, much less a white alpha male like Donald Trump telling them what to do and what's gone wrong, and that their payout and their handouts is might going to stop, and some of their immoral perversion lifestyle might be scrutinized. So that's why they strike back, because they can. And they've got a PW woman-headed government now that will, Joe Biden and his wife, that's pretty much two females, isn't it? Seriously? Look what they have as their press agent. I mean, really, what a bunch of bozos. So, that's who's in charge of running the squad off the cliff. But I'm not following them, and I hope you're not either. But with no dads present and no authority figure, the result is arrogance and vindictiveness. For instance, I was riding my bike around the Mormon LDS church just 2 doors up from me in my nice little area of St. George, Utah, where I live. And I pick up their trash. There's a lot of people that throw trash there and so on. And I pick it up, and they know I do. Sometimes I'll come back with a broom and a dustpan. Thank you. And I'll pick up broken bottles and wine bottles and, put it in a bag and put it over there in their dumpster. And they know I do this, and they appreciate it. So the other day I'm bicycling around, and there comes a pickup, and I go, okay, well, I know what this is. The pickup is totally full of junk, big junk, old TVs and great big boards and dressers and crap. And so I went up to the back of it, and I pretended like I was making note of their license plate with my 1980s old digital calculator that that doesn't work anymore because it demanded batteries. But I use it as kind of like a weapon, as though it's a camera or a smartphone or something, because I don't buy into those things either, because I'm not going to be trapped into that system where I have to worry about being trapped into that system. So I put it up near the license plate, and I said, well, what are you going to do with this? Well, we're going to dump it. Well, it says for church use only. Well, we live right down here. Now, this is a big man. He's got a wife beater T-shirt on, big Hispanic-looking fella, and he's about 5'11", 6 foot, muscular, a workout man, and his good-looking Hispanic-looking chick. You see. And so he says, well, we live just right down here. I said, yeah, but are you a member of the church? No. Well, I said, if you dump this here, I'm going to report you. Oh, yeah, wow. F you, man. Well, fine, So he doesn't know if I've got him on tape or not. So I'm continuing to do my circle eights around the parking lot, before I go home and have a swim. And he comes he barrels right at me. And I just get up to the, up to the island, where the little cherry tree is right there. And I figure, well, he's not going to hit me because, he doesn't know if I have his plate down or not. And so he swerved around and he went off. But what a dipshit. How arrogant. I told him that there's a rule here, and he said, well, I'm going to take you down, Whitey. And that's the arrogance that goes on with these cunts and these pussy boys. And when I say cunt on the Steve's Cottage show, it's C period, U period, N period, T period. And why do we say that? Because cunts have their periods. And we men have our exclamation points. And we need to start pounding these tables a little more frequency with a little more ebullience. Because certainly the cunts are taking charge, and we have too many Joe Biden pussy whips out there accommodating them. So that's the story on that. Oh, and then I took my car in for an oil change. And, it's the Ford dealership here in St. George, and I've got a a 3 oil change deal that I bought, three bucks, for $150. And even the old Big O down the block is a lot more expensive now. So I thought it was a pretty good deal. So I'm on my second. So I had an appointment, parked the reliable Golden Knight, the 2017, beautifully golden flicked paint job on my Ford Focus. And so I'm going to park. I've got 4 guys hanging around the door now. Grease monkeys, jockeys, whatever. They want to. So one of them comes up to me and says, "Oh, hello, good morning." Doesn't know my name, but just wants to be this obsequious type of guy and everything else. And then he rushes over and opens the door for me. Now, you've seen that commercial on TV, haven't you? "Oh, let me help you here." "No, thanks." "No, seriously, let me help you." "No, thanks." And that's the way I felt that morning. Maybe a little obstinate. Maybe I didn't like the obsequiousness of this fella that wanted to open the door for me. Doesn't he have a little more to do than that? And do I look like somebody that needs help opening the door? How many times have you went to open a door for a woman and they tell you to go to hell? I can open it myself. So fine, I'm not the only one with the attitude now and then. So he stayed there. I said, I want to open up the door myself. "Well, I'm going to open it up for you." I said, "Well, I'll go to another door." "Well, then I'll open that one for you." And I said, "Well," and then it was a showdown. And then his 3 friends, along with the female manager, said, "Well, you're disrespecting, what's his name? Mitch, or whatever his name was." Disrespecting him. I said, "I don't want him to accommodate me. I don't want the condescending attitude. I can get my door." "Well, yeah, but he wants to, and so you don't want him to, and so that's disrespecting him." I said, "Well, now you're using that black term, the African-American thing about you don't respect me. I'm not being respected." See, they have no comprehension of what the damn word means. What do you mean, respect? Has nothing to do with the Aretha Franklin version. So he's standing there into the showdown, and so the woman was a foreman, I guess. The male boss, well, he came out and started giving me crap even. So I had to call the general manager, and I threatened to go to Salt Lake City and talk to them. Well, he said, "Well, we can square this away," and. You see, that's the deal. These kids, they have no idea about what the hell the definition of the word respect is. If I don't want them to help me, don't help me. Just because I refuse your help doesn't mean that, I'm disrespecting you, you little weasel. But that's how America has been, you see, with the sappy Americans in control. It's become very silent. And if you don't play the game, well, then, you're a bad guy, and you're hit with all these Orwellian terms, you see, like racist and misogynist and homophobic. You see, that's what they've done. They've taken words and they've twisted them around to suit their political agendas. And that's why the scene today in America is very tense. You're afraid to talk to anybody about anything that matters for fear that it's not going to please them or maybe going to rile them. And then then along comes the Jewish press, run by Jews. These newspapers run by Jews. And see, that's almost an Orwellian term, because if you say the word Jew, well, you might be looked upon as racist. But you see, that's a misnomer, because I think it all has to do with behavior. Racism is the belief that you really believe that God created you to be superior. But I don't. I think that it's a matter of political choice. And I don't like the politics that the Jews typically, lean to, so the Jews portray the dysfunctional behavior of blacks shooting blacks in the street, or homelessness, or surge in crime, or single-parent moms, as a symptom of the underprivileged person. See, that's another Orwellian term, privilege. I'm not privileged. I've worked hard to get where I'm at, not only financially, but also not only fiscally, but also just mentally and spiritually and physically. See, I wasn't born to wear a jeweled crown of good luck and pleasure. I was born in a middle-class family, as were you, and we had to work to attain our goals. But the Jews come along and say, well, you're privileged. And then that divides the classes. And then you have the women, who typically 80% of them vote a Democrat because they want their plate filled with government handouts. And they think that they're like Jews, that they're the only ones who can understand, turmoil and revenge and reparation needs and so on and so forth. And so they come along and they throw their sympathy and acceptance of this so-called chaotic system that the Jew press has portrayed in the newspapers. And that's why we are in a situation where we are today. It's a pretty simple formula. So the sappy women sympathize with the sappy Jews who are making money on the unfortunate laziness of people who want to be criminals and or homeless or drug users, and so that's what happens with sappy America, by throwing sympathy at the morons who are creating the chaos, and they're the ones who continue to give life and sustenance to the nasty outcomes like homelessness and crime and government handouts. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, wait a minute, this guy is truly a hater. No, I'm a lover, okay? This is all about behavior. And I wish people would change and become a little more loving and harmonious in their thoughts as well, so that we can get on with being a loving, caring nation. And because I want to tell you something. As I speak about this, what the Jew press does with swaying America's feeble thinking. See, the sappy American ain't hard to lead. So the Jew press knows this. They come along and they do this for self-serving reason. They make millions off of the homeless and the trans issues and so on and so forth, and the government handouts. Unfortunately for them, their newspapers are sinking because nobody buys them anymore because they're too illiterate and sappy. So, but the bottom line, folks, is that this is not about hate or revenge or anger or vengeance. It's about survival. I don't want these people preaching to the children of America their perverted immorality. I don't want kids to grow up today thinking that they need government handouts to live a happy, productive life in sappy America. I want sappy America to end, and I want them to be stronger and happier and more self-sufficient. I want the kids to be happier, and I want them to be proud, and I don't want the Marines to get beat up because they're wearing a uniform. And I want Donald Trump to be the next president of the United States of America. I do. And isn't he getting lassoed into a pit of venom? Unbelievable. I sure hope that that he works his way out of this. Well, folks, I'm Steve Horner, and this is what it's like here at Steve's Cottage. And I'm so happy that you could join me again today. And so I just have to remind you that when you're tackling these mountains of life and you're aiming for the top of the peak, make sure that you get on that less traveled trail, because it'll provide a better self-esteem, better views, and better memories. This is Steve. Join me again.
Thanks for joining us. Visit Steve's Cottage again with Steve Horner.